Hi, everybody. We have exciting daf talking about magic and learning science. But before we get to that, this is a follow-up to Z's question from yesterday. Yesterday, we saw a baraita that says if you had means of two kinds of food, borer ve'ochel, borer moniach, you can separate. Lo yivror v'imberer chayav chatat. So kind of enigmatic statement, and we have 5 different interpretations. And wondering if there's any clue we can get to which one did it really mean from earlier sources. So this is a Tosefta, and it's also found a version of it found in Talmud Yerushalmi. So here's the Tosefta version. Perot shenitpazeru melaket echad echad ve'ochel. Nitarvu perot beferot. Okay, so you have a lot of different kinds of fruit that got mixed up with one with the other. Borer ve'ochel, borer umeniach ala shulchan. You can take and eat or take and separate on the table, presumably for someone else. Yerushalmi makes it clear for someone else. Borer umashlich lifnei behemto, or separate and give it to your animal. Bideran elu bifnei atzman ve'elu bifnei atzman. However, if you separated all of them, you had oranges and apples mixed together, and you separated all of them in 2 different piles. O shiliket mitochan efer v'serurot harei zeh hayab. Or if there was dirt or pebbles in them mixed in, and you took those out, then it's chayav. So you see that this Tosefta version of it is a lot clearer, and it means certainly taking the bad from the good is the item explicitly mentioned, and that would fit together with Rav Hamnuna's interpretation. And the other part that's completely separating, not just separating a couple, but making 2 piles all together, that's not mentioned in the Bavli, but that is found in the Talmud Yerushalmi also. So what is common to all interpretations, and what seems to have been well known, is that the second borer umeniach means that you're doing it for someone else to eat. So that's the answer to your question. Okay. Now we're going through all the melachot, and we began the melacha of korea, of tearing. And so here Rav Zutra, right, we saw tearing was done in the Mishkan in case there was a hole from a worm in one of the curtains. They would tear in order to put it back together. And now up to Amar Rav Zutra bar Tubiya Amar Rav. He says in the name of Rav, that first generation Amora in Bavel. If there's a thread that's already woven in, but you make it tight, that is chayav chatat. Even though you're not actually weaving, but by making it tight, you are in effect creating the weave, and so therefore it seems like a minor thing to do, but yet chayav chatat. And then he happened to say 2 other things. Halomed in the name of Rav. V'halomed davar echad min hamagosh hayav mita. If you learn something, magosh means a Zoroastrian priest. Same root as magician. And if you learn one thing from him, chayav mita. We'll try to figure out what that means. Vayodea lechasheb tikufot umazalot ve'eno choshev asur lesaper hemenu. Someone knows how to calculate seasons and constellations, and he doesn't calculate them, then you are not allowed to speak about him. You have to erase his name. Okay, now these 3 items don't have much in common, the laws of Shabbat and the other 2. So what holds these all together? Are these happen to be the 3 things that Rav Zutra learned from Rav? Or is there some deeper connection? I think the deeper connection is that they're all things that seem relatively minor, just to pull a thread or just to learn one thing from them. Or this is a sin of omission, that you're just, you have an ability and you're not using it, you're not calculating. You wouldn't think that that's such a terrible thing to do, and yet all these 3 things are terrible things to do. All right, so the chashib tikufot has to do with science. Let's figure out what this magosh is. And that's the subject of the next line. Magoshta Rav Ushemuel Hadamar Harashe Hadamar Gaddufe. there's a machloket between Rav and Shmuel what Magoshta refers to. One opinion says like harash, meaning a sorcerer, someone who whispers incantations. And the other one says megadef, a blasphemer, someone who says curses about God. All right, so we don't know who said which of these. Tistayem de Rav de Amar Giddufe, de Amar Rav Zutra bar Tubiya Amar Rav. So Rav is also the one who said this original statement here, and he must be the one who said that means blasphemy, because now we're quoting that again. Halomed davar echad min hamagosh hayab mita. That's what we just said here. We're quoting a snippet of it. Ridis al kadateh harshe haketib lo tilmad la'asot aval talamed lehavin ulhorot tistayem. If Rav was the one that thought it was talking about learning sorcery, then we know that there's a pasuk that says here, don't learn to practice what the idolaters do and do magic like them. So you can't learn it for practical use, but you are allowed to learn it in order to understand it and to teach, to rule about it. If a case comes up, you have to know what it is. So therefore, you see here, you are allowed to learn magic and sorcery. And so therefore, he must be the opinion that it does not mean that, but rather magosh means blasphemy. That's what you're not allowed to learn from them. All right, so that's pretty interesting. Shai Sekunda has an article about this section, and he shows that when the rabbis refer to these magosh, these Persian priests, they're always mumbling things, and they actually are mumbling both of these types of things. They learned the Avesta, that's the Zoroastrian sacred text. They learned it by heart, and so they would be repeating it all the time and mumbling it. They would also be mumbling magic formulas and other things that sounded like divine names or curses, using divine names in ways that are not sacred. And so, in fact, both of these descriptions are good descriptions of what Persian priests do. And the question that Rav and Shmuel must have been addressing originally is, what would be chayav? If you did something like that, what is the main bad thing that they do? Is it their religious teaching? Is it their magic formulas, religious teachings, or is it their use of divine name in curses?
So that doesn't follow at least the logic of the Gemara, where the Gemara says it has to be the one who is not the magician, because you wouldn't be hayab for learning that.
Right. Good. So I think originally, and this is what Shai suggests, originally Rav is the one that is not the one that said Gidufe, but rather Charasheh, and he said you're not allowed to learn these magic things. That's Chayav Mita. But the Stam HaTalmud is being mekel and saying, well, sometimes you need to learn these things. They could be important. You're not going to use them. Use them, in a good way. You need to know them. And so by making Rav follow the opinion of Giddufe, that allows some leniency in learning these things.
What's this word?
But in fact, it might have been original.
How are they using this word?
The opposite original. What?
This word tistayem, how are they using it?
Tistayem, concluded. That's a conclusion. Okay. We know these magicians are mentioned in several other places. This is one very famous, important one. People say, there's a saying, Ratin magosha velo yada mai amar, that these Persian sorcerers would mumble Ratin, and they don't know what they're saying. They just know it by heart. They're mumbling by heart, and they don't even understand what they say. So too, Taneh Tana velo yada mai amar. So too, the Tanaim, the professional memorizers, right? They're great memories, and they mumble, but they don't always fully understand what they say. They're just the book, right? And it would be the rabbi, the sage who was giving the lecture would say, okay, repeat that, and he would explain it. But the Tanaim did not necessarily. Sometimes it was good that they didn't understand what they were memorizing. That way they wouldn't change anything. And so that gives you a good idea of what was going on. The Shai shows that there are lots of places in Persian literature where they talk about teaching non-Zoroastrians, and how you shouldn't do that. Anyone who teaches the holy word to one who does not give it currency is like he gives the tongue to a wolf, things like that. So that's like the other side of the equation. The Zoroastrians didn't want people teaching it, and the rabbis did not want people learning it. So it's mutual. Okay, so now still a couple of more elaborations on this idea. אמר רבי שמעון בן פזי, אמר רבי יהושע בן לוי משום בר כפרה. כל היודע לחשב בתקופות המזלות ואינו חושב עליו, הכתוב אומר, ואת פועל השם לא יביטו ומעשה ידיו לא ראו. He's elaborating on this and emphasizing, quoting a pasuk, that if you know how to do the science, then you should do it. Why? Because otherwise you are ignoring God's works and not looking at his creations. The full pasuk is here in the original context is talking about people that wake up late in the morning because they're drunk and they're all night they're partying and playing music and drinking, and vet po'al Hashem lo yabitu, and they don't look at God's works, meaning they don't think about God's what God wants of them, responsibility, providence, that there'll be consequences to their actions, and so on. That's Po'al Hashem. Midrash is taking it out of context very beautifully and saying this is a directive to learn science, to appreciate nature around you. If you have the ability to do that, and you don't, then you are missing out on this important mitzvah. Okay. אמר רבי שמואל בר נחמני, אמר רבי יוחנן, מניין שמצווה על אדם לחשוב תקופות ומזלות, שנאמר, ושמרתם ועשיתם, כי היא חוכמתכם ובינתכם לעיני העמים. איזו חוכמה ובינה שהיא לעיני העמים? הווה אומר, זה חישוב תקופות ומזלות. The famous pasuk in Devarim that says, this is your wisdom before the nations. And so what is wisdom that is before the nations? What is something that everyone in the world would appreciate and say, oh, what a great nation this is, look how wise they are? This is the calculation of the calendar. So therefore, it's a mitzvah to know this. This is, of course, Rambam's favorite pasuk. He quotes it in many different contexts, showing the significance of scientific study and also rational understanding of everything. Okay, so a good source here for Torah Umada.
So, Rabbi, are we sure that they're talking about astronomy and not astrology?
It's hard to know. I mean, it's more of a modern distinction. I think for them, they were bound up with each other. So I don't know. I don't think we can really distinguish between those two.
Also, wasn't it Shmuel who was like the expert in the skies and stuff like that?
Right. He knew it like a palm of his hand. Which
is surprising that this comment came from Rav and not Shmuel.
Oh, I'm sure they agreed. Sure they agreed about this. They didn't always disagree. Okay, next melacha is Sad Sebi. Someone did some archaeological research and actually found deer bones in Israel. So it seems that in the north they did actually hunt deer. Tanura Banan, Baraita says, Hasad chilazon b'hapotzo'o eno chayav ela achat. If you catch chilazon, that's the snail that the blue dye that we use for techelet was made from. If you catch one, potzo'o, and you squeeze it to squeeze the dye out of it, that's all that is one melacha. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, chayav shetayim, says, no, it's two. Shaya Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Pitsia bichlal disha. Squeezing it is like threshing. It's like smashing the grains to separate the grain from the chaff. And so here too, you're squeezing it to get the good part that you want out of it. And so that's the second one. Merulo and pitsia bichlal disha. And the rabbi say back to him, says, no, pitsia is not the same as disha. It's not categorized within that. They don't really explain why, but so the Gemara takes that up. Amar Rava, my tamad rabbanan. Why do they think it's not? Kasabre and disha ela legidule karka. Threshing only applies to things that grow from the ground and not snails, not anything else. Okay, fine. We understand why the rabbis said only one, just for hunting. But why don't they also add killing, taking away a life, right? When you squeeze it, you're going to end up killing it. And so that would be a second melacha. Amar Rabbi Yochanan shepitza omet. No, not necessarily. Maybe it already died, and you're squeezing it after it already died. Okay, so that's one possibility. But in fact, if it was alive and you squeezed it, then it would be a problem. Second problem. Rava Amar afilu tema shepitza ochai mitaseku etzel netilat neshama. No, I can even say that the snail was alive, and I'm squeezing it. I want to get the dye out. I don't care if it lives or dies, right? So that's mitasek. Davar she'enu mitkaven. I didn't have in mind. It's not quite mitasek. Mitasek is like when you're walking and the the light goes on by itself. This is you're kind of actively doing it. But the point is, I don't have that intention when I'm squeezing it.
And they're referring to this case where you're trapping and then squeezing, because you can't trap something that's dead. So you trap it, wait till it dies, and then squeeze it.
Yeah, you trap it, and while it's in the trap, and maybe it's there for a long time, and it dies while it's in the trap. And then you go and take the trap out, and then you squeeze it. No, that does not work, because although that was not your intention to kill it, but they both agreed, Ava included, that even the Rabbi Shimon, who's usually Mekel, says if it will definitely happen, then it's chayav. The case of Pasik Rashez, your kids want to play with the chicken head, and so you cut off the chicken head to give to the kids, but you didn't mean to kill the chicken, right? And so he says, well, if you cut off the head, is it not going to die? So it's no, right? There's no good. And so it would still be a problem because it's definitely going to happen. No, Shanehacha, but in this case, Rabbi Shimon would say it's okay, it's permitted, because as long as it is alive and it has a life in it, it's better so that the dye comes out clearer. So in other words, when you're squeezing it out, you don't want it to die. So this is a pasik rashe de la nichale. Although it will for sure happen while I'm squeezing it. My intention is to get the dye. I know, it's going to die. This is confusing because the word die, right? I'm trying to squeeze it out to get the blue, right? I know that it will be killed while I am squeezing it, right? But that's not my primary intention. And actually, I would rather it didn't die, right? If possible. And so therefore, since I would rather it didn't happen, that's a pasik rashe de la nichale, and therefore that would be permitted according to the Rabbi Shimon. Okay, and so that's why it's only one. Okay, very good. So now in the next one, the shochato, shechita, slaughtering an animal. Shochet mishum chayav. For what is this? What is the reason? What is it categorized under? Rav amar mishum sobeya. Shmuel amar mishum netilat neshama. Rav says it's coloring. You're dying. The red blood is going to go everywhere and make things red. Shmuel says you're taking a life. Okay, it's a curious question because shochet is one of the 39. So what do you mean mishum mai? As if it has to be something higher level. But it's not as strange as it seems. The word shochet with a shin and the word sochet with a samech are actually closely related. And shochet doesn't necessarily mean shechita with a knife. It really means doing something to remove all the blood. So we do shechita. The goal of shechita is so that we do it at the neck, so that the blood of the animal will come out. So this is so the question is assuming that there is a higher level category that this is subsumed under, and the Netilat Neshama we already met before is not included in the 39, and yet is a higher one. So we understand Shemuel. The main thing here is taking a life, and that would mean that not only shechita, if you take a life of an animal or being in any way swatting a fly, right? Then it's still called the same melacha. But how about Rav? Coloring? Really? Mishum sove'ain, mishum netilat neshama la. You're saying it's only dying and not actually killing? Ema af mishum sove'a. No, it's also giving color to something. So according to Rav, you'd be chayav two things. Now, this is a very important statement. Amar Rav, milta damre ema ba milta. The words that I said, let me say a word about them. So that generations to come will not make fun of me, will not laugh at me. So why does a person want the red color to be present and to dye something? He wants the red of the blood to go around the neck of the animal and stain it, so that when it goes to the marketplace, people will see and say, "Oh, this had kosher shechita," and then they will want to buy it. It's a marker that shows it was slaughtered properly. And so, in fact, he does want the blood to stain the neck of the animal, and that's why he explained himself. This is a very important statement because it shows you something about how the rabbis recorded their teachings. I'm sure they gave lengthy lectures for hours, but we don't have any record of their lengthy lectures. Those were not memorized or written down. Instead, what was memorized is these short statements, like just the conclusion. Rav says Mishum Saveya. That's all that's remembered for generations, that short pithy statement. And Rav then realizes, and that's memorized by the students, and Rav realizes if that's the only thing, people are going to not misunderstand it. They're going to make fun of me. So I want to add something to the record. That's what it means. Ema ba milta, right? Memorizers, students, add this to my comment. You can't take away a comment because once it's memorized, you can't erase it. But you can add an explanation, and here's my explanation. Remember that so people won't make fun of me. Okay. Salting and tanning leather, hides. What is the same thing? Salting is one of the steps in the process of tanning leather. Rabbi Yochanan v'Resh Lakish tamre tarvayhu afik had minayhu v'ayel sirtut. So both these sages say that you should take out one of these because they're actually the same and add in sirtut, making lines in the klaf. Well, it could be either making outlines, or I think it means making lines like we do in Sefer Torah, so that to write under them. Okay, so you see that there's a significant machloket about how to count to 39, and you combine these two into one, and then you can add one that should have been there. Amar Abba bar Rav Huna, Hayman de malach bisra chayav mishum me'abed. Someone who salts meat is also liable to tanning a hide, even though it's usually that's for the skin, but even the meat that you eat is subsumed under this. Rava Amar en ibud be'ochalin. No, it does not apply to food. Food you're eating. This is a different thing altogether. Ella, I'm sorry. Amar Rav Asher ve'afilu Rabba bar Rav Huna lo amar ela deka ba'ele leorcha aval lebeta lamashve inash michle aetz. Rav Asher says even the Rabba bar Chana who said it's not allowed, he only said it's not allowed if you're taking it on the road. If you're going on a long journey and you need some salami, beef jerky to last you a long time, then you're salting it heavily to dry it out. And that's what he's talking about, that's not allowed. But if I'm home and eating it, I'm just adding some salt for flavor, because that's the way I like it, then that's permitted. Because a person does not turn his food into wood, right? You wouldn't do that on purpose, only if you had to go on a journey. And so the type of salting you do at home is permitted. Okay. Memachako umehatecho. So rubbing, erasing, and cutting. Amar Rabbi Aha bar Hanina, Hashaf ben Amudim b'Shabbat chayav mishum memachek. There's a couple of different explanations of this. If someone smooths out, it could be the floor area between two pillars, that is mimachek. That's also smoothing out. I don't know why between the two pillars. Others say it means smoothing out the pillars, a marble pillar that maybe is bumpy, and you're smoothing it out. That's also chayav. Amar Rabbi Chayav bar Abba shelosha devarim sachli Rav Asher mishmeh Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. He says three things he's a third generation Amora. He says 3 things that Rav Ashi tell me in the name of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Yoshua ben Levi is a first generation Amora. Rav Ashi is 6th generation. So you have a third generation saying the 6th generation Amora told me the name of a first generation Amora. So Rav Ashi doesn't fit here. He's too late. He couldn't have been in this line. And so there is one manuscript that says Rav Aseh instead. Unless there's a different Rav Ashi, but we never heard of a different Rav Ashi. Okay. Yeah, the problem is that one manuscript is Ashkenazi manuscript, and both of the Sfaradi manuscripts have Rav Ashi. So I'm a bit of a quandary. Hamegarer Rashi Kelun Saot b'Shabbat Chayav Mishum Mehatech. If you're plain making smooth the top of poles, then that is considered cutting. If you spread lotion, medication on a wound on Shabbat, then that is also chayav of spreading or rubbing. And one who chisels a piece of rock on Shabbat, that's makeh patish. And this is taking makeh patish literally as actually hitting something with a hammer and thereby smoothing out or making a shape from the piece of stone, like a sculptor. Mm-hmm. Okay, now since we mentioned makeh patish, we'll say 2 more things about it, although we're going to come back to it again later. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Kisma, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Hasar surah bakli, v'amenapeach bekle zechuchit chayav mishum makeh patish. Someone who makes a shape in a utensil, perhaps he's chiseling something into it, engraving, and someone who blows glass, that's also makeh patish. So you see that it's not only actually working with a hammer, but both of these things are giving a shape to something that was not shapen well before. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, hayman de shakil akupeh. If you take off the loose strands when you buy a new suit and there's some loose strands there and take them off, that's also makeh patish, because that's the finishing thing you do. The last thing after you sew everything together is to take off the loose strands. But that's only if you care about them and don't like them there. But if you don't mind them being there, then it was already finished before you took them off. So it doesn't matter. Vakoteb shete otiyot, writing 2 letters. That's on the list. Tanu Rabbanan katav ot achat gedola veyesh bimkoma lichtob shetayim patur. If you write a big letter that takes up the space of 2 letters, patur, because you have to write 2 letters to be chayav. And even no matter how big the 1 letter is, it's not 2 letters. So it's okay. But if you erase a big letter and there's space there to write 2 letters, chayav, because the purpose of erasing by itself is okay. It's erasing in order to write, and so now you erased enough space that you can write 2 letters. So you're preparing to write 2 letters, and therefore that's chayav. In this aspect, erasing is more stringent than writing. Okay, that's all the baraita, and no comment about it. So you see how this is like the early stage of the Talmud, is we have the Mishnah and only Tannaitic statements that are about it, and then then the early Amoraim come and add more things. So you can see the staccato theme here, rhythm here is reflective of these early stages of Mishnaic interpretation. Building and deconstructing and extinguishing and lighting a fire, and the final blow. They say anything that is the final item you do to finish creating something, that is called makeh patish. So you actually see the development within this sugya from makeh patish being interpreted as a physical blow, a physical hammer blow, to something that is not only a hammer, but anything that gives something to a shape to something. and that's usually the last thing if you're hammering something out of metal or whatever. And then it comes to be more conceptualized. In general, anything that's the last item that you do. Elu abot melachot. Finally, the end of the Mishnah gives a summary and says these are the creative works. Elu lafuke medirabi Eliezer demechayev al tolada b'mkom av. It has to say elu, these, meaning these and only these. And this excludes the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who says that if you do an av and a tolada, you are chayav two chataot. And so this excludes it and says no. 39 is the maximum amount of chatat offerings one would have to give, even if you did every possible subcategory under the sun. You only bring one for every av and tolada together. Hased achat. This reminds me of when the midrash takes a pasuk and atomizes it and interprets every word of the pasuk, and that they're doing the same thing to the Mishnah. Haser achat. So why is it -1? Lafuke med Rabbi Yehuda. Tetanya. Rabbi Yehuda mosif al hashobet vehamedakdek. So this is coming to exclude. So in other words, chaser achat, and no more. So exclude Rabbi Yehuda, who says lining up the strings and beating them down. This is also in the loom. Should be added to them. Amru lo shobet harehu bichlal mesech medakdek harehu bichlal oreg. No, the lining up, that's part of setting up the warp, which we already included, and medakdek, that's part of weaving. We already included that. So therefore, don't add two more, right? You have to take away one and don't add any. Okay, so that concludes that important Mishnah, and we go on to the next Mishnah, which is related. Od kelal acher ameru. This is the od is going all the way back to the beginning of the Perek where we said kelal gadol, and now there's something additional to it. Kol hakasher lehatzniya umatzni'in kamohu v'otzi'o b'Shabbat hayav hatat alav. Anything that is worthy of storage, that someone would find it and say, "Oh, I want to keep this," and you keep that amount of it, right? Not less than that, and you carry that on Shabbat, then you're chayav chatat. That's the minimum amount you are chayav for carrying. V'kol she'eno kasher lehatzniya ve'en matzni'in kamohu v'otzi'o b'Shabbat eno chayav ela hamatzni'o. But something that is not usually stored and kept, and that amount is not enough that anyone would hold on to it, and you carried it on Shabbat, only that person who cares about it, for him subjectively it's important, so he will be chayav. But anybody else who carries that amount would be patur. Right? I think of this like the staples rule. Like if you find one staple, you throw it out, right? If you find like half of a staple refill, you keep it. But what's the minimum amount of staples that you say, okay, I better keep this, right? Like maybe 7, right? You put it back in the bag, you'll put in the stapler later. But 5, not worth it. So you throw it out. So therefore, if you carry just 5, then and you don't care about it, that's fine. But if you're one of these people that saves even 3 staples, then carrying those 3 staples would be chayav. Okay, Gemara, kol hakasher lehatzniya lapuke mai. What is this coming to exclude? What do people not hold on to? Rapapa ma lapuke dam nida. The blood of nida. No, people don't keep that. Okay, strange example. Mar ukba amar lapuke atse ashera. The wood from an ashera tree that was worshipped. This is it's prohibited. You can't use it for anything, and so nobody would keep that around because you can't derive any benefit from it. All right, that's 2 opinions. Manda madam nida kol sheken aseh ashera. The Papa would certainly agree because this is es ashera is even more useless than dam nida. Manda mar aseh ashera avan dam nida metznea le leshunra. But the one who says this opinion that it would be the tree, he would not agree with dam nida because he would say you can keep the dam nida to feed to the cat. However, the other opinion says says no, it leads to weakness if you feed the dam nida to a cat. Okay, I have no further explanation of this except to say that when we studied when we were studying for Simicha in Israel, one time Rabbi Sammy brought a whole bag of nida cloths and said, "Okay, let's all look at them." And so we had to decide: this is too light, this is too green, this is too yellow, and there was good training to learn those halachot. So there are some people who hold on to these. So therefore, we should follow Mar'upa here. Okay, last line. Amar Rabbi Yosef bar Hanina. Hi, de la Kerebi Shimon. The Kerebi Shimon ha'amad lo ameru kol hashiurin halalu ela lematzni ahen. This Mishnah does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And the first Mishnah of the next Perek, we're going to see Rabbi Shimon. Over there, it gives a bunch of talks about liquids and a gulp of milk is enough to be chayav if you carry it outside because whatever. And Rabbi Shimon says over there, all these measurements are only for those who keep them. In other words, he thinks it's an objective measure. And so but according to us, if you happen to be richer or poorer, so there's a subjective measure, and he says no, there should be one standard measure. And so this he disagrees with this Mishnah, and that's it for today. Tomorrow we will actually conclude this Perek. So looking forward to finishing with you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.